Welcome to the Intersection Magazine podcast. This week, our guest is Joe Muhumuza, the CEO of FlyHub. It's a Stanbic project. They're located in Lower Colonel Terrace. We're going to be discussing Stanbic's role in the innovation ecosystem. And just a bit of a side note, Stanbic has been involved in the ecosystem through competitions, through projects and partnerships with various partners, whether they be other businesses or NGOs. And they've done quite a lot of extensive work in building the ecosystem through, as I said, competitions. And we thought that it would be really good to visit them and see what they're doing and maybe interview the CEO, just find out a little bit more about their approach, what makes that approach unique, and what opportunities exist for the future. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Joel, for allowing to have this podcast with us. Please tell us a little bit about FlyHub and what you guys are doing in this space.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas, for making the time and for giving me the opportunity. So, like you said, my name is Joel Muhumuza. I'm the CEO of FlyHub. FlyHub is the ambitious development under Stanbic Holdings, a way for us to get into the digital economy space. And really what our task is we build digital solutions. We're building these digital solutions as part of the digital transformation initiative that the group has. So we're not just doing it by ourselves, we're doing it in partnership with different innovators, fintechs and providers in the market, because we felt just having competitions, just having one-off events wasn't enough. We wanted to show that there is a commitment as a group for us to actually invest in technology and use it to be able to enhance the services that our customers receive and to service the sectors that we've not been able to penetrate into as deeply as we want to because of lack of a focus of us in technology. So yeah, that's what we do.
Okay, from the little research I've done, what you're doing is unique in the sense that you're not only providing financial services and banking like others are doing. Tell us a little bit more about what makes FlyHub unique. Why is this? You said that the only similar thing is going on in Nigeria, but you're kind of tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as a banking group, obviously technology has been quite important. Mobile banking is one of the biggest moves that the bank has made. Of recent, you'll find that most of our customers access us either through agency banking or through our mobile banking applications. But along the way, the decision to make a holding company structure, which was initiated by, at the time, the CEO of the bank, Patrick Muhire, was an effort to look beyond banking. Given that we're a banking group, there are certain ways and certain limitations that we have because of security reasons that the bank can't engage in, for example, real estate services. Okay. But we do have a large portfolio of properties and we do help with valuation. So that's where the properties subsidiary was created. Okay. Then wealth management in terms of SPG that came out of our capital markets was a way to democratize wealth management and wealth creation. The two subsidiaries which sit here at Kololo, which are the Incubator and FlyHub, are premised on working with businesses in the ecosystem. Okay. So the Incubator works primarily to provide capacity support. Initially, it was created for those that are trying to get into the oil and gas pipeline, local content. So it's helping them get registered, understand how they should bid for projects, how they can arrange their HR, you name it. So it's a not-for-profit service. Okay. We, on the other hand, are created as a technology subsidiary. Why? Not just providing financial services, because the bank already has FlexiPay that provides mobile banking and mobile MSME support. It also has the ability for you to transfer money across your different wallets. You've got banking online, you've got multiple products that have already been created within the bank for financial services. We are focused on the technology side. Okay. So for instance, where your data is going to be hosted, how you can automate your everyday repeatable services, and even the digital platforms that you want. Okay. So the way we link back to the bank is after we've built you a platform, through APIs, we can connect you back so that you have payment rails that the bank is utilizing. Okay. We can send your data back, with your consent for the bank to be able to provide you with an analysis and be able to offer you financial services.
Okay.
So it's a way for, we call it the beyond banking growth. So we are going beyond banking in terms of we want to look at wealth management and investment. How do people manage their wealth? We're looking at properties. Where do people have their physical locations managed?
Okay.
We have the incubator that's enhancing business support. And then we exist as sort of the technology subsidiary to help build solutions for. We're targeting mostly medium-sized enterprises, those that are ready to do some kind of investment in technology, but probably don't know what tools they should use, how they should approach it. So we provide that consultancy, but then we also have a cloud-based initiative where we're helping you to store and host your platforms and services and help you enhance your way towards getting into a relationship with the group. The last thing I'll say is we're partnering with different companies, different fintechs, because we can't do everything ourselves. So if there is an issue that needs to be resolved by one of our clients or by the bank, we are primarily the people that will partner with someone who has a solution, test it out outside of the bank, and then we give a recommendation on how the bank would partner with them. Yeah.
Okay, now in your digital finance and technology solutions section, you talked about the automation of work and then the leveraging of data. Tell us a little bit more about this. Why is this so important?
So I think I'll start with the automation piece.
Yes.
The amount of loss that we see, at least from the businesses that we support, that are result of human error or as a result of nefarious actions is quite high. So we look at that as loss that could be reduced because the process is repeatable, it's mappable, and so we'll apply robotic process automation. By that I don't mean we're going to be having physical robots, but it's just software bots that can repeat the way you move data from one source to another, the way you execute certain actions, and then have a human being at the end either verify what's happening or not. So there we're maximizing on how you can reduce loss that happens end to end, either in your supply chain or in your business processes. It gives line of sight also to where you might be having inadequacies. And then the third piece around automation is it makes it such that the turnaround time for a lot of the work that people do will be much easier. A lot of digital transformation can happen on the front end, just the front face, but in the back end, if their paper is still moving around, what the customer experiences is quite frustrating because it's limited to what human beings are doing. And then internally, it means people are freed up to do a little bit more higher order work, to think about creative ways in which they can service the customer. When it comes to the data piece, for us, that's the most important part. Because in Africa, or at least in East Africa as we see it right now, we don't have very comprehensive understandings of who people are in terms of their data profile. We probably have some mobile money information, some bank information, but we're not as well connected so that we can be able to say, I can build this profile and have a risk rating for this individual. That's part of why credit is so expensive here. So our goal is to try and make that data that we can get once it's hosted in our environment, something that can be relayed back to the bank so that they can give you services at a lower cost because they know you. We feel that with everything becoming digital, especially since COVID, there's a lot of info that's being collected. A lot of enterprises have data lakes, so they have a server where they dump all their info, but it's not well sorted through. And we think data is not just used for reporting, it's useful for decision making, so for proactive decision making. So that's where we're trying to get into. The big AI boom has started already, and it's something that we're quite invested in how to make the access to data and the ability for you to utilize that data to make informed decisions. Those are some of the tools that we've begun working on and incubating.
Okay, do you see any limitations in terms or restrictions in terms of European law with GDPR? How do you deal with that? Data protection laws in the UK or the Europe in general?
So I think the benefit that we have is as a group, we pegged ourselves towards the GDPR. So because we, as the largest bank in terms of assets in Africa, we are constantly dealing with people from the UK or the US, or we have partners that are doing cross-national transactions. So the way we protect that data is baked into our policies. So we already anticipated how we will obtain consent, how we will be able to track users that come onto our platforms. I think what's more interesting for me is how we can do cross-selling or how we can do offers to clients without bombarding them. Right now on people's mobile phones, they have so much that's trying to grab for their attention, and the way we do it is that we have to have principled communication. So you won't have an instance where FlyHub is reaching out to you at the same time the incubator is reaching out to you, and same time SPG. So we're quite methodical in the way we approach it. It's a bit frustrating as opposed to if we're just a single company that we just blast. But I think we just have to be smarter. It's not something that I want to turn off customers by.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I noticed in the section of talking about what generally you do, you mentioned 4 things: digital platforms, cloud services, applied data science, and then robotic process automation.
Yes.
You've talked briefly about automation, but just kind of highlight some of the other areas for us so we can know a little bit more about what you do.
Right. So cloud hosting, we have an enterprise relationship with Amazon Web Services. So we're utilizing the fact that they have servers located all over the world.
Yes.
We're able to scale up or scale down services that we offer in terms of a managed service for different clients, including some that are in the bank and some that are external in the market. So really what we're doing is allowing you to focus on your business while we manage that platform for you. We're able to host it, and then we get paid a rate for being able to make sure your data is secure, the platform is available, and applications have been connected towards it.
Okay.
When I go to the platform development itself, the reason we're looking at platforms is platform economy is quite big.
Okay.
What we found is, as a bank, I'll take Uganda for example. We are plugged into so many ecosystems.
Okay.
And so if we only come in at the financing bit, either we're coming in at the tail end or at the beginning of an investment. But we see that there's so many other auxiliary services, there's so many things on the periphery, on the boundaries that we could get into. So by a platform, we're trying to encourage network effects.
Okay.
So what we mean by that is not only just the buyer and the seller, but also the support services that come into it, the ability for third parties to be able to interact and get on board, for other service providers to get on. So it's, we're betting on a long-term view for us to become platform enablers, and then we just, sort of help you as a business maybe either attract the right kind of customers or the right kind of suppliers. By that, I think we'll also be remiss to mention the sectors that we're trying to look into. Obviously, financial services that we're in, we're looking at health, we're looking at real estate, we're also looking at the oil and gas sector, because those are areas that really need quite a bit of intervention. You'll notice that what we're trying to do is difficult. It's not an easy thing, but I think that's why the ambition of FlyHub is, in terms of, as a bank, what are we giving back and how are we plowing towards a new digital economy. Then I think lastly, the data piece, which I didn't go into a lot. Our ultimate goal is to be a centralized data hub that is able to allow you as an individual, as a business, to be able to say, hey, I'm interacting with all these enterprises. I need to know where my data is from all of them. So if we had APIs that could allow you to be able to call your information from government, call the information from the bank, and bundle it together such that you can send it, say, to an embassy if you're traveling, or you can send it to an employer if they need it.
Yes.
I think the democratization of data is the next step. And right now, as East Africa, we have gotten onto the rails, we've gotten digital payment rails, we've gotten digital services, but the data piece is the enhancement that you can do with data is the piece that's waiting for. So it's our bet for the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also noticed you have quite an interesting team that's handling your tasks at FlyHub. Tell us a little bit what informed your hiring, and what kind of skills are you looking for? What do potential hires, what should they be focusing on if they want to maybe work with you? Are there any opportunities for partnership? Things of that nature.
Okay. So I think the team we're looking for, I would say, I put them into 3 categories. One is the character. Okay. So in terms of character, really you're coming to work at a startup. We are still a startup, even though we're part of an established entity. It can be a little bit confusing because there's the big brand, there's the big shield, but there's a reason we have the name FlyHub. It's because we have to have the ability to be agile, to discard bad ideas, to work on a meritocracy, and also to own the excellence that we want to appear with. There's a bit of a comfort you have when you're part of an established brand to know there are structures that already exist. Here, the team is creating those structures. So that's the way I was able to pull this team together, looking at that hunger for someone to be able to create something and plant trees under whose shade they may not be able to sit, but other people will be able to. The second I'll look at is the technical skills. So depending on what role you're doing, we have 3 teams. We have the architecture team. So that team is focused on making sure the cloud environment is secure, making sure that our APIs are working correctly, that our network is up and running. And that's also where the data team sits, because they have to make sure the data link is working correctly. We're expanding towards getting experts in machine learning and those who are sort of senior data scientists. So as long as you have those technical skills, that's the right type of team that you'll be into if you have those kinds of skills. We've got the dev team, so that's primarily cloud developers. So they build primarily also with Java, we're a Java-based crew, but we use all kinds of different tools and languages. Our goal is to be able to build something that can go straight up into the cloud, but we can also build on-prem. So cloud developers, really someone who has an AWS certification or someone who has an Azure certification. I don't mean just people being familiar with it. A lot of people are familiar, but even I can talk about these things, but if you ask me to code and then transfer a platform, it might be something else. The last part of the team is the product team. So there we're looking at people who have an eye for human-centered design. We're really focused on that approach. We apply rigorous scrums, which we're always taking it back to the customer, and then we take big leaps in terms of first solve the problem, create some artifacts around it, create some prototypes, and then be able to build. Now, the other labs and the other innovation centers have a large team of product managers and usually outsource things to other companies. We do partnerships, so what we're looking for are partners who are able to do data analysis, people who are able to do cloud support services, and people who are able to do software development. So once we have that, we are able to take you on board, we're able to look at your rates, and should we have a project where we think we can co-create or create something, we'll be able to subcontract that out to you. The third piece, I've talked about character, I've talked about the skill sets. I think the third piece is just an ambition for this country. I'm not going to make someone sing the national anthem, but I think part of why we're here and why it's going to be difficult is we're trying to do something that is not easily accessible. Everyone has an idea of digital transformation, but to be the spear of it, to actually do something that no one else has seen before, it's going to be quite rigorous. So I think that comes from out of a love of making an impact. So I usually ask people, what's your story and how does our story link up with yours? So if someone has all of that, the website will always have up-to-date demands for what we're looking for.
Then I also noticed that we talked about some of the challenges that Uganda faces. What proposals do you have for the idea that we have 70% of our population under an informal economy? And then, what opportunities exist in that space?
Yeah, so I think we'd be remiss if we only are looking at people in Kampala, if we're looking at people who are salaried. It's much easier. The models that exist in the world, can show you how you're making traction there. The reason I think that the informal sector is important is from just working with the incubator, what I find is that they have an intuitive sense of how business should flow. It's just that they can't prove it. So in banking speak, it doesn't matter what you know, it matters what you can prove. And so some of the hurdles there around maybe a fear of getting on the list for URA where someone's going to come and tax you really exorbitantly, or you feel that it's an expensive investment for you to have to get into technology. How we're trying to go around it is the way mobile money has tried to have a pull factor. One of the biggest things they did was make it easier for payments to go towards things like utilities, for you to be able to pay taxes, and so that's a sticky point. With FlexiPay, for instance, which has been created for the bank as a mobile banking app, it's sort of like a switch where you can move money from one wallet to another, from multiple wallets to others, but you will eventually be able to get credit, you'll be able to get your business with an overdraft. So those are some of the ways I think we bring the informal sector in. The other for me is, if I'm to be quite frank with you, is the humility to be able to speak to these businesses. So for the last 18 months, we've been doing what we call a business digitization scan. So trying to find what are the tools that are actually being used. Are people using WhatsApp for business? Are people using Facebook? Why are they using Facebook? If people are using Odo, if people are using Market Force, why are they using those things? What's attracting them there? And then seeing where they are, being able to say, well, what enhancement can we put on top of it? Like I mentioned at the beginning, I don't think it makes sense for us to reinvent the wheel. It's just finding where people already are and then sort of tipping them to the edge. So that's what we're interested in. That's why I think partnerships are big. Partnerships with the likes of, say, Jumia, partnerships with Safe Border, because they are already sort of tapping into a certain segment of the community that banks just haven't been able to reach. So that's those are some of the mission statements for myself and where I think we should go to solve that problem.
Okay. Then a little bit about, I found out that you have a leaderships program. Then also about what you call the FlyHub toolbox. So tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, so the leadership program was the first of its kind within the group. We were just looking at, hey, we're starting out this fintech. We want to, go out there and get the best talent. And the temptation was to just get, top of class, pay them a lot of money, and then get them going. So instead, we split up and said we'll get some seasoned developers and engineers, but also we'll hire about 7 to 8 graduates. So these are people who came out of the factory. They've been trained on how they can apply their services, and then we assign them and then put them on leadership routes. That means that once their time with us is done, they're able to go out and be, a ready-made software developer. They're able to have impact. So this is a program that was quite successful. We're looking to restart it again this year, and looking to, get people who've graduated from universities. The thing I would want to say is it's not only people from universities. Why we started with the factories, if you've got the skill set and you're able to deliver, we will take you on. The toolbox sessions are sort of our way of opening up what we've learned in terms of going cloud, what we've learned in terms of software development, how do you do Scrum. So usually in those engagements, we'll either call people from universities, people from medical industry, whatever the case may be, and say, well, what tools might make sense for you? Typically, it's what problem do you have? And then we unbox that. So our team members will walk them through ways in which they could create free tools, utilize the tools that we have. We also use it as a way for us to understand where are people in these specific sectors. So that's what those toolbox sessions are. We tend to have them at least once a quarter. And out of that we had our recent launch of the masterclasses with the digital transformation masterclasses and digital toolbox. If I'm to say something a little bit about that,
yes,
we've started looking at it as, these toolboxes help with managers and executors, but at the board level, at the executive level, you need to get that approval if you're going to invest in new digital technology, if you're going to go to data warehousing, whatever the case may be. And we want to offer it at an executive level to say, how do you guide your business? How do you guide your managers? What metrics do you look at? So we want to address it at that point. And given that Stanbic has begun the digital transformation initiative, we're going to start at home and then go out to the different executive boards that we think are going to be key.
I'm curious. Of course, we had 2 major crises globally. The first one was to do with cryptocurrencies, the cryptocurrency exchange, and Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. The second one is with Silicon Valley Bank. And I was doing a bit of research in terms of finding financing for my startup, for example. And when I went to a certain site in the US, it asked me for if I'm registered, I guess, in Delaware. I think it's one of the cities where you can get, where you have to be registered to access funding. What opportunities do you see, for example, for Stanbic to kind of get into the space where they're funding actual startups, where they're banking for startups, and what can we do to avoid the pitfalls that maybe SVB has fallen into?
Some things need prayer. Well, let me talk about I think the journey that we're taking towards that kind of investment. You're very right. I think the fact that there isn't cheap and affordable capital, or even impact capital that's available locally, means that local startups have to use credit at rates that are quite difficult and could crush a startup business. I think typically what we do is deal with a lot of seasoned entrepreneurs. But there have been some measures that the bank has taken in terms of lowering cost of credit depending on the amount of information that they get. Now, to your point around challenge funds, we hadn't been structured in such a way that we're able to create boot camps, understand, how do we know how to invest in a startup that's, for instance, in agriculture, or a startup in certain areas. What we know is finance. So I think it's an admission of the fact that we don't know. The creation of the Incubator and of FlyHub is aiming at getting that. So one is, from the Incubator, we're learning what these different businesses need. The digitization survey that we're doing is sort of understanding how do we group them according to sectors and according to value. Now the next step would be, do we put money into a fund that already exists, or create our own fund? So that's one of the strategic questions we have. It would not make sense to dilute it if, say, NSSF's High Innovator is doing well. One of the successes that we've seen from there is most of the people that have come out of our Stanbic Incubator program that have gone there have won. So we think, okay, there's a pipeline where the training is being done well here. The management of investment there looks quite good. Should we create our own, or should we have this become a pipeline?
Yes.
There are also other law firms. I know Otters Capital, for instance, has come to us and they're talking about creating a fund.
Okay.
Personally, as FlyHub, we're part of FITSPA, the FinTech Association, who are looking towards creating a fund. So when we look at it that way, we're saying, well, if we focus on the technology bits, if we have the training pieces, let's say we've invested this training in you up to a certain point, and now we're handing you over to these partners for you to get that funding and move further. Where we are interested in you currently is that, yeah, you're running business, now let's partner. Let's co-create something, let's have IP together. So the challenge fund is still something that we are negotiating back and forth. In a few countries, I think Stanbic has done it. In Uganda, we're still in the phase of we're creating the business acumen that can allow them to go to places where they are funded. So we're partnered up with the likes of Hive Collab, the likes of NSSF, Incubator, and even with the Innovation Village. So we look at those as the guys who are focused in on the kinds of funding that can go to startups where they have that expertise.
Okay.
It's something that we just didn't have internally.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for your time. We've covered quite a lot of areas. Tell us a little bit about where we can find you, give us your contact details.
So for myself, you can always go to the website, which is FlyHub Uganda. Personally, my LinkedIn is available. You can always write a message to me. Just look for Joel Muhumuza. I also am on Twitter, on most social media, so I try to be as responsive as possible. Most of the time, if you just say that you're writing to me about work, I'll be able to respond in a timely manner.
Okay, thank you very much. We hope to talk to you soon if you have any new developments. Once again, thank you very much.